community to the multiverse.
This is Project Bluestar, 2000 to 2012.
Further analysis suggested the planet Earth has become subject to a level 1 disturbance, which could not be diffused and
How we doing, the guys? We're just about to jump into the old Port Aurthur traditional jail here where the convicts used to hang out. I've just turned up in my brand new car down here on the right here. She's a bit of a crackerjack car, and we've gone and scoffed on chocolate, and it's time to check out new things here in the southern parts of Tasmania. All looking good. Yeah, here we go again, Danny, down in the very base of Tasmania, the southern parts of Tasmania. What's amazing about this so-called penitentiary is that, oh, there's Ben getting one there on Mum, is that I think right up to the 1850s, I think Van Diemen's Land was the place in Tasmania, the island up the top in the north, where they took all their bad boys and girls, their so-called prisoners, and then it wasn't until that time that this place, good old Port Aurthur, became the holding place for the so-called criminals. But were they really criminals, Danny?
Oh, not necessarily, Tommy. A criminal is a matter of perception, to be quite honest. And back then, there was an amazing class distinction in society, like there is today. And obviously, those who didn't toe the line were sent away a long away to places like Port Aurthur here in Tasmania, so they can be utilised as a resource to do a number of jobs and provide income for the Crown.
Yeah, that's right, Danny. It does make me think, were these people more criminals, or were they actually people who rejected the system and simply became dysfunctional because the system, not all that dissimilar from today's times, people weren't quite fitting in, and so-called laws were broken as a result of them trying to fit in. And there's a bit of an interesting feeling around here. It looked like some people had endured some serious hardship, and yeah, there's quite a few buildings there. I think there was about 400 buildings all up.
Yeah, there might as well be. They need to house quite a few people. Over 163,000 convicts were sent to Australia from the mother country, and you know, a lot of these people were sent to Australia for stealing a loaf of bread to keep their family alive, or they stole saddles, etc. And little did the Crown know that they were stealing the land from the local native inhabitants, being the Aboriginal people. So, you know, two wrongs don't make a right. So society has to at least be honest to themselves and look at our history. And you know, reconciliation is a very important stage of our future. And look, some of these areas too, Tommy. Here's the chapel inside the Port Aurthur penal colony, and you know, you can see here's Tommy and Benny having a bit of crack, but none of these prisoners could actually look at each other or see each other. Here's some of the isolation rooms, which were hardcore. You know, these walls are over 1.5 meters thick, and they had a very difficult time. Obviously, they were fed, clothed, and as we mentioned before, they were workhorses for the Crown. They were there as stonemasons, and also cutting down that beautiful timber which was shipped back to Hobart and back to the mother country.
Yeah, that's right, Danny, and just in that sign before, it says we filter the truth through what we want to believe, and in many ways that's the case. Although they got a lot of these so-called convicts to make shoes and you know, make brickwork and slice up timber, and some of them learned how to be blacksmiths and all sorts of things. There were some positives out of this movement in terms of trying to reform people and get them back on track, but whether that incentive, that initiative was used to generate making money for the so-called governors and operators of these premises. We look at the jails today, and by all means they're generally an ugly place. They hold some pretty ugly people. but we need to look at ways in the future as to what can we do with people who are serious criminals or so-called criminals. Are we able to get them working, get them into areas of life where we can possibly use that energy for a positive for the person as well as the entire of society. This is a beautiful boat trip we took from the southern parts of Tasmania to go and have a look at one of the two islands that was used in Port Arthur. One of them was called the Island of the Dead, and she's just up ahead of us here in the boat, and she had at least 1,100 graves on her from both convicts as well as so-called soldiers who worked at Port Arthur. It's just a tiny little island, and she certainly had a presence about her.
Yeah, well, next to the Isle of the Dead was another island where they sent the juvenile convicts, and apparently one of the first that the Crown had established in that time. But obviously the environment itself was part of the reason Port Arthur was chosen for a convict settlement due to the nature of the water. The inability of the convicts being able to swim back then, and obviously the Australian bush being harsh and only settled by the local Aboriginal people, made it very difficult for the convicts to consider obviously fleeing and trying to find a life elsewhere. Although many did, they had a crack, and good luck to them. If they can survive out there in the Australian bush, well, it's just magnificent. It is an amazing settlement. You know, to be here in Tasmania in our day, it's obviously stunning, but back then the conditions would have been extremely harsh for these prisoners, and also the officers and the families that had to come with the officers all the way from the United Kingdom.
Yeah, that's right, Danny. It was wonderful to get here, and it's just a stern reminder of just what sort of activities occurred, not just here in Australia, but all the way around the world. The old penal colony at Port Arthur closed down, I think, in the 1870s. It operated for about 50 years, and it just gives you an idea of just what sort of migration of people has been going on.
Tommy and Ben have now been sentenced.
Prisoner in the dock. You are 15 years old and servant to Peter Wilkins. You are charged with being idle and insolent.
Shut up, fat fuck.
As a result of your negligence, one of your master's rams died.
You in the corner, I'm watching you.
You will be sent to Point Poor.
I'm going to flog 10 times more in this prison and take what I want, fatty. And you know, who are you looking at? Strange little man in the corner, boy touches. What have you been doing? Pull your pants up, strange old man. Watching you, stranger. Have you tried one of these?